This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Instant drama, that's what broke out in the assembly of the state today. Our politicians sure did show us that the house is not where they warm the benches and they are not the ones to chill, but the entrance is where they will sit to stall the proceedings. A very good evening, I'm Divya and Shabir Ahmed joins me tonight and we look ahead if it will continue to be a heated play in the house as well. And the situation is no different in neighbouring Karnataka either, and this time it was the Congress that does an opposition act. And talking of acts, you will not believe me when I say that a prisoner was actually taken to the court on a motorbike today. Well, it sounds familiar because we've all watched it in the movies, but this was the scene our camera caught on Mount Road this noon. We have all that and more coming up in this half-hour capsule, but first up, the headlines. Opposition parties withdraw Dharna after holding up the assembly proceedings for 2 hours, demanding suspension orders given to 9 MLAs be revoked.
உடனடியாக திரும்ப பெற வேண்டும் என்று வலியுறுத்தி நாங்கள் வெளியிடப்பு செய்திருக்கிறோம்.
AIADMK has learnt from its previous mistakes, will have an alliance with smaller parties, says Cho Ramaswamy.
The alliance, the strength of the alliance is going to be the deciding factor.
Now this is no joke. Look at how a prisoner is actually being taken to a court from a police station. Will 2G licenses given by A. Raja be cancelled? Supreme Court issues notice to Centre, Try and 11 telecom companies.
Some of us have sought the cancellation of licenses allotted by Mr. Raja on 10th January 2008.
And Jayasuriya will now be playing in Chennai's maiden Super Sixes tournament. Let's also bring you the national news headlines. Onion traders call off strike in Nashik after prices in the market fall. Congress does an opposition number in the Karnataka Assembly, demands a discussion on corruption. The big chill sweeps North India. The maximum temperature in Delhi hits a 20-year low. India's first light combat aircraft Tejas is inducted into the Indian Air Force. And after no one bid for Saurav Ganguly, Shah Rukh Khan says he'll speak to him to be Kolkata Knight Riders' mentor. Well, it was a pitched battle for 2 straight hours at the Tamil Nadu Assembly. Even on day 2, the opposition members staged a high drama in yet another day of more anger, protest and walkouts, and finally withdrew. The AIADMK members sat on a dharna outside the entrance demanding a revocation of the suspension order issued to 9 of their MLAs. The party members of the MDMK, the CPM and the CPI joined in chorus and termed the suspension order as undemocratic. The 9 MLAs were suspended for creating a ruckus during the governor's address last Friday. In the AIADMK's party whip asked for a revocation, but it was rejected by the speaker. He said that the suspension was handed down on valid grounds.
இந்த 9 சட்டமன்ற உறுப்பினர்களை நடவடிக்கை எடுத்திருப்பது வன்மையாக கண்டிக்கப்படுகிறது. உடனடியாக திரும்ப பெற வேண்டும் என்று வலியுறுத்தி நாங்கள் வெளியிடப்பு செய்திருக்கிறோம்.
கடந்த காலத்தில் திராவிட முன்னேற்றக் கழகம் உள்ளிட்டு எதிர்க்கட்சியாக இருந்த பொழுது ஆளுநர் உரை நிகழ்த்துவதற்கு முன்னால் மக்களினுடைய பிரச்சனையை சொல்வதற்கு அனுமதி கோருவதும் அந்த அனுமதி வழங்கப்படுவதும் நடைமுறைகளில் ஒன்றாகவே இருந்து வந்தது. அப்படி இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு சூழ்நிலையில்தான் அனைத்து இந்திய அண்ணா திராவிட முன்னேற்றக் கழகம், மார்க்சிய கம்யூனிஸ்ட் கட்சி, இந்திய கம்யூனிஸ்ட் கட்சி, மறுமலர்ச்சி திராவிட முன்னேற்றக் கழகத்தினுடைய எதிர்க்கட்சியினுடைய வரிசையில் நாங்கள் மக்கள் பிரச்சனையை சொல்வதற்கு அனுமதி கொடுங்கள் என்று கேட்டோம். அனுமதி என்பது மறுக்கப்பட்டது. ஆகவே திடீரென்று இன்றைக்கு ஜனநாயகத்தினுடைய மரபுகளை மீறி நெறிமுறைகளை மீறி எதிர்க்கட்சி உறுப்பினர்கள் மீது இன்றைக்கு நடவடிக்கை எடுத்திருப்பது என்பது மக்களினுடைய பிரச்சனைகளை சொல்லக்கூடாது என்று ஜனநாயகத்தினுடைய குரல் வலையை நெரிப்பதற்குரிய செயலாக மார்க்சிய கம்யூனிஸ்ட் கட்சி கருதுகின்றது.
Political reporter Shabir Ahmed now joins us live from our newsroom. Well, Shabir, the Speaker has already rejected their demand, and the opposition too has vowed that if the suspension orders are not revoked, they will stage another dharna tomorrow as well. So, what can we expect?
Well, Divya, the next 3 days are going to be crucial. In fact, similar scenes will be, one can witness similar scenes in the Tamil Nadu Assembly, because the AIADMK is extremely furious at this point in time after the Speaker ordered suspension of 9 MLAs who were actually involved in creating ruckus. That is what they say. And also, when we spoke to some of the AIADMK MLAs, they do tell us that Pollachi Jayaraman, who was accused of actually hitting an assembly marshal inside the house, he says that he did not involved in such activities. In fact, the assembly marshals were actually targeting him and they were trying to assault him. So that is what his version is, and he has also given a letter to the Speaker on his claims. But perhaps things are quite tensed at the Tamil Nadu Assembly, because this session is going to be a crucial one for almost all the political parties. And also, at this point in time, political parties are trying to corner the DMK government ahead of the elections and try to garner support from the people of the state just ahead of elections. So that appears to be the strategy of the opposition parties, but extremely taking on the ruling party on various issues is something perhaps is top on the agenda for almost all the political parties and opposition parties in the state at this point in time. But the AIADMK and the other opposition parties have made it very clear that if the suspension order is not revoked, then they will continue to protest, and similar walkouts and dharnas will be staged on the floor of the House as well as outside the Assembly.
Well, thanks, Shabir, for joining us with all those details. Well, moving on, a day after the DMDK made overtures to the AIADMK, their party's massive rally in Salem, political analyst Cho Ramaswamy says forging alliances will be the clincher in the upcoming assembly elections. He tells my colleague Bama Ravi that the AIADMK has learnt its lessons on alliance politics in this exclusive interview.
Vijaykanth has said that no alliance can win the elections without the support of the DMDK. Do you think this confidence is justified?
Well, such claims have to be made from a political platform. Usually Ramdas used to make it, and even some smaller parties with a much less percentage of votes, they make that claim. You see, to enthuse the cadres, some such things have to be said. It doesn't mean that it is being taken seriously by the Speaker himself.
How challenging is it going to be for Vijaykanth to negotiate with Amma for seats for himself?
No, I don't think that if you are asking me whether DMDK can win by itself, it cannot. But they have this vote, this 8 to 10% vote, and it does count.
You know, Vijaykanth has also called other opposition parties to ally against the DMK and join forces. Now, doesn't this mean less number of seats for his party? Last time he went it alone and he won some 8%, a little more than 8%. Do you think he has enough skills to negotiate with Jayalalitha?
Well, both of them need each other. The ADMK would do well to strike an alliance with Vijaykanth, because otherwise the opposition vote will be divided. And Vijaykanth does not have enough votes to win seats by himself. He needs a bigger party. He has to go with a bigger party. It cannot be the DMK. The Congress will not do it now. I don't know whether it is a bigger party at all in terms of vote. But anyway, it doesn't seem to be breaking the alliance with the DMK. So he is left only with the ADMK. So he has to opt for it. Otherwise, he will not be able to improve his presence in the assembly.
But you know, he has also called for other opposition parties to ally with the ADMK.
Well, the other parties are much smaller parties. There will be only 1 seat, 2 seat parties. So perhaps it will help in various pockets. Okay. That's all. He would not stand to lose by that. I am not very aware as to his negotiating skills. That will all depend on the necessity which the two parties face. And in my opinion, both of them need each other now.
Will the spectrum scam continue to be a big issue? It continues to be today. Will it continue to be a big issue right up to the elections? Will it be a clincher?
The country has not heard of a scandal which is of this proportion,
Yes.
the spectrum proportion.
Yes.
It is a real spectrum in the sense that it has several wavelengths to it.
Yes.
So, naturally, I think this will have a definitely, it will have an impact.
You know, the DMK has invested a lot of money and effort in many welfare schemes. Even in the last elections, its pre-poll promises turned out to be the clincher. What do you think the DMK has up its sleeve this time round?
No, the last election, what mattered was the alliance. This time, if Jayalalitha has the MDM, the Vijayakant's party with her, and also the Congress has become somewhat suspect as an ally. There is a lot of bad blood running between the Congress and the DMK, and within the DMK itself.
You know, DMK made, interestingly, DMK made inroads into traditional ADMK bastions such as Sivaganga and Thoothukudi in the last elections. And of course, AIADMK also wrested a number of seats from the city. What do you think is going to be the clincher? What is going to be the deciding factor in the elections that are coming up now?
As the strength of looking at the strength of the two alliances, if Jayalalitha gets Vijayakant's party along with her, hers will have an edge over the DMK Congress alliance because both of them have lost votes terribly. Both the DMK and the Congress have lost votes between the last election and now. The alliance, the strength of the alliance is going to be the deciding factor, and I think the ADMK will mop up the various smaller parties. Last time they didn't do it in the south. That is why the DMK was able to make inroads in the south. The smaller parties helped the DMK win by dividing the opposition vote. This time I think the ADMK has learned its lesson and it may not repeat it. So it will have several parties in its alliance, and that will help.
And still ahead on the bulletin, what is real and what is real? It's a Parivel comedy taken too seriously for our Chennai police to imitate.